I've been saying for some time that decentralization is about a lot more than finance, and no one knows that better than one of the most well-known names in cryptocurrency, and that's Brock Pierce. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Glad to be here. It's been fun.
It's been really fun, right? So it is the last day of Anarchapulco, and now I've heard you speak twice here. I've also heard you speak at World CryptoCon and other conferences. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, so really appreciate this. The last time that we talked, we were talking about you working on improving Puerto Rico's food resiliency. That was last year. Have you seen any changes since then?
Well, I've changed a lot. Since then I've learned a lot. So the data hasn't really changed yet because it takes time to impact these numbers. But the main data is Puerto Rico imports over 90% of their food. It was about 85% pre-hurricane. But over 90% of the food is imported. There's about 2 to 3 weeks of food on the island. And so food security and food resiliency is a major, major issue for Puerto Rico. And it's specific to Puerto Rico. Neighboring islands don't have the same problem. The Dominican Republic is a net exporter of food. Almost identical climate. So Puerto Rico's got 4 growing seasons, soil or agricultural potential that's not been destroyed by bad agricultural practices, fresh water falling from the sky kind of all the time. So there's really no reason that this problem can't be solved. It's just a matter of getting enough people engaged and interested. So for me, I don't have a farming background, and so I've been learning a little bit about farming. I've been doing a little bit of farming, have a small farm, adding a couple of more farms right now in Puerto Rico. But there's 2 sort of things that I'm looking for in this regard. One is, this is a call to action, permaculture people, if you're out there in the world and you have a dream of like building a farm or doing something of that nature, and you're in Costa Rica and you can't raise the funding, or you're somewhere else and you're struggling, I'd say come check out Puerto Rico. It might be a place where your dream can take root. And so 97% of the island is a qualified opportunity zone, so there's tremendous capital, potential for capital investment there, more so than most places. Also, because of the food problem, FDA grants and things of that nature, I think stuff can happen. So the main thing is we have to get more businesses launched, teach more Puerto Ricans that if they want to be entrepreneurs, this is an entrepreneurial path to owning your own business, and it's an impactful business. So we're doing all we can. Hopefully, the next time we have this conversation, I can show you a really compelling list. We've been donating money to through Integro, the Integro Foundation, our foundation, to organizations that are teaching people how to farm, and so there's a lot of stuff happening.
All right, cool. Well, we have some friends who are really into sustainable farming. Tyler and Liz, get in touch. Okay. So
Tyler and Liz, I look forward to connecting.
I also read an article that last year that you're mentioned in, and I had assigned Myers-Briggs personality types to a variety of crypto leaders, and I'm wondering how close to crypto is. Do you happen to know what your Myers-Briggs is?
What did you say?
ENFP.
ENFP. I'll get back to you, and I have to go check it.
Okay, all right.
I have it, but I don't recall it.
Okay, all right.
ENFP, I will confirm.
Cool. All right, so Voice launched on February 14th while we were here, and before it launched, there was a lot of negativity in the crypto community about Voice not launching on the EOS blockchain. I, of course, defended it and said that things move later. I was wondering if you wanted to address that at all.
Well, I mean, it's built on EOS.
Mm-hmm.
It's not built on the EOS public chain today.
Mm-hmm.
And, first and foremost is, well, does everything need to be built on public chains? Or should things be built on separate chains with interoperability? That's an entire debate about what the right architecture is. And like everybody in this space, we're all trying to figure it out. Clearly, Dan Larimer, Brendan Bloomer, and the Block One team are interested in supporting the EOS IO public chain or mainnet. And so I have a little faith that whatever they do is ultimately going to be good for the overall ecosystem. I know it's easy to be like, no, rah, rah, rah. I believe the intention is good, and if you listen to Dan Larimer's talks, he'll talk a lot about interoperability and the idea that there should be 100 that interoperability looks like, and we're all just figuring it out. So super excited. If you haven't signed up for voice.com, I recommend you do. If you're in the crypto space, the basic idea is a new type of social network, a new type of sort of platform by which we become informed in our media. It has the potential to solve the fake news issue. It has the potential to solve the manipulated news issue, meaning to help get us to the truth faster, or at least a truth. It has the potential to give us our digital DNA back, where we own our data. It has the potential to do that. Rather than companies like Facebook making all this money, it has the potential to give those revenues back to the users, where we determine how it's allocated amongst the users based upon their contributions to the content and the things they share. These are all really big ideas. Voice may or may not end up succeeding, but these types of projects, I think, have extraordinary potential to change the world in a really big way, and so I recommend being part of these experiments. This one could end up being that thing, right? It could end up being the thing that changes social networking and solves a lot of our problems in media. But if nothing else, I believe that this is a problem, and I believe there lies a big opportunity, and I think that voice, no matter what happens, is going to play a key role in helping us develop a better world around these issues.
Sure, and I think that's a really important point. It's possible that voice isn't the final social media platform that we all end up, decentralized social media platform that we end up using, but at the very least we'll have learned from it, and there's no way of knowing whether or not a project is going to be successful in this stage of its infancy.
Yeah, when you hear me speak, I'm always, I think, speaking. I do my best to always speak truth, and I can't tell everyone that voice is going to change the world. It has the potential to, right? And even if voice ends up winning in this particular area in the short term, it doesn't necessarily mean in the long term. We're going to hear it, continually innovate, and we're seeing that. It's why you'll always hear me talk about being chain agnostic. We don't know what's going to happen. It's still early days, and I advise everyone not to don't overly drink your Kool-Aid or overly drink your bag.
Maximalism, not a good look.
Well, yeah, it's early. I associate crypto maximalism. My chain is better than your chain, my coin, but it reminds me a lot of religious fundamentalism. And I don't think that has served humanity well. It hasn't served our civilization well. I believe that if anyone succeeds in making the world a better place, we all win. And so I support innovation in all of its forms, as long as it's done with integrity. And even that, don't make mistakes. And Kaizen, continually improve it up, and do it better tomorrow. And certainly, if it's a big mistake, don't repeat that mistake if it affects others. Learn from your lessons. We all make mistakes.
Of course, we're humans.
That's the human experiment.
Yeah. All right.
Experience.
So I have a question that I've just wanted to ask you for so long. It's not about cryptocurrency, or at least not directly, but have you ever been to or heard of Meow Wolf?
Yeah.
Oh, I knew it!
Well, funny that you mention it.
Okay.
If you didn't notice, it's like you almost just teed up the perfect question.
You did.
So, when I first moved down to Puerto Rico, I moved into this ancient monastery on the first road ever built, the first road ever built by the conquistadors, road number 1 in all of the Americas, Calle de Cristo. Also on that same road, across from the second oldest church, was this building that was referred to as Museum del Niño, or the Children's Museum, which used to be the city hall. It used to be a church. It used to be the biggest nightclub. This building is historically probably one of the top 10 most important pieces of real estate in Puerto Rico, and historically one of the most important in all of the Americas. And so I was given this building. It was written about a lot in the press. People were like, oh my God, what's he going to do? Is he going to turn into like a crypto incubator, crypto office? And so this is the property that I'm most known for owning, which I technically don't even own. I have a lease to purchase. I have one more year to decide if I'm going to buy it. But this is the one where, the Puerto Rican people are like, what is he going to do with this really important historic property? It's not going to be turned into like a crypto castle, is it? The answer is no. I had to spend a long time figuring out what to do with that building. One of the ideas was to open it up in like kiosk Because all of these artisanal sort of like craftsmen that are making little tchotchkes, most of those people have been pushed out of Old San Juan, and everything's been replaced by cheap Chinese manufactured tchotchkes that are not even from Puerto Rico, and money's not going in the hands of Puerto Rican artists. And so I'm like, wow, cost of operating there has gone up. Maybe I could create a space to, kind of like a bazaar. Oh, but maybe I could do a farmer's market, like, bring in produce. And I was thinking through these ideas. And then one of the ideas was to maybe do something with art and have the first floor be about the history of Puerto Rico, the past, the second floor being the present, and the third floor being the future. And maybe we could do some storytelling. And then eventually, a group of people came together that came out of the Meow Wolf sort of crowd. Specifically, they built the second, most popular art experiential sort of thing in the U.S. called Dreamscape out of Utah, out of Salt Lake City. And so some of the Dreamscape founders came and they said, the Rocky Food Dreamscape, Meow Wolf, and whatever. We think that this building could be like a place to do this immersive art experience, storytelling, technology integrated. And I'm like, I love it. There's 2 million people a year getting off cruise ships right there. There's no real destinations. They're telling the story and supporting the artists. And so their organization is called Creator Academy. So I've given them the building. They've been working around the clock. You can actually follow it. It's called Imagination.
Okay.
So you can look it up on Instagram and other things. You can actually see the art going live. And so there's dozens of artists going through and incorporating technology, going through the past, the present, the future. And it'll be open sometime this year.
That is so exciting.
Yes, I've heard of it, and the piece of real estate that I'm best known for being in charge of has been basically given over to a nonprofit group of artists that are then using those funds to put money in the hands of artists, to create maker spaces around the island, to provide young people with 3D printing and all of these tools. And another thing to note is Puerto Rico has more artists per capita than anywhere in the United States. And so that's one of the things, too, that people don't know. Puerto Rico has a PR problem, highlighting the fact that the art and the culture of Puerto Rico is amazing. Hopefully we do an event right after Art Basel Miami this year. So a really art-centric event in December. So for the artists that are tuning in, actually if you come quick enough, you might even be able to participate in some creation.
We need you.
Like, if you come down now, you can actually get involved and be one of the creators, one of the participants, and they have a whole model. I'm just the landlord that is putting up the most money to support the project, but I give things over to the artists and I let them do what they will. And I just was waiting for something inspiring to come along, and I couldn't be happier to be enabling this beautiful experience, these beautiful people, this great creativity, highlighting Puerto Rico's arts. And hopefully helping these 2 million tourists leave Puerto Rico with an even more magical experience that they can tell their friends about, or come back again, not on a cruise ship, and actually run around the island with a rental car and all the other things.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, if it's anything like Meow Wolf, and I suspect that it will be, I don't think that anybody is ever going to want to not attend again, because I went 3 times the first year, and it was an 8-hour drive each way. It's incredible. Gotta check this out. Can't wait to see it. Yeah. All right. Okay. During both of your presentations, you used a photo with the magic words. It was a burning man. Do you have any idea when that photo was taken?
Magic. I don't remember, but the artist's name is Laura Kipton.
Okay.
And the photographer in that case is Peter Ruprecht. So you can find Peter's art online. He's one of the most iconic Burning Man photographers. Laura Kipton makes all of those sculptures, and they have doves. It's all made in doves, so it's really beautiful to see her work. And then the person in the magic photo that's cross-legged flying in the air is a DJ friend of mine, Isaiah Martin. Go look his SoundCloud up and listen to some of his sets. It's just if you don't know how to play music, you don't know how to DJ, or and you're throwing a party and you want to have something that's beautiful, high energy, but good, sort of energetic flow coming out of it. Isaiah Martin, Isaiah Martin. And so really cool, and I like the word magic. I grew up as a professional magician, so I was a child actor, but I also did magic as a kid. It was actually magic that helped me book those starring roles in movies, because I'd go into auditions, and if you're a casting director or a producer or whatever, right, you're having to watch 30 kids come in one after another, saying the exact same line over and over And it becomes really difficult to even remember who was what and who said what. And so one of the things I learned early on in life is how to differentiate myself, how to appear different. And so instead of going in and saying, hi, my name is Brock, and then reading my lines and leaving, I go, hi, my name is Brock, and then I make a coin disappear or something. Okay. And all of a sudden they're like, what? And then I pull out a deck of cards. And then I start doing magic. And then after like 10 minutes of like, well, how did you learn this? And chatting and actually developing a relationship, they're like, oh, there's a bunch of people waiting. You got to read your lines. Okay. And then read the lines. And then we talk for 5 more minutes. And we're like giving each other hugs and leaving the room. And at the end of the day, I'm not sure I was any better at acting than anyone, but I was the only kid they could remember.
Sure. Yeah. I did acting as a child too. And that was the trick, was developing those personal relationships and just being a little bit different. So that's a great strategy. I'm sure that has contributed to your success in multiple ways.
Yes. And the other thing I said there is the word magnetic.
Right.
If you take the word net out of magnetic, you're just left with magic. So I like this whole magic internet money thing.
Yeah, it is definitely magic internet money. Yep, which at some point has become real money, right? Mm-hmm.
What is real, right?
Yeah.
Shared belief and perception.
Yeah. All right. So at World CryptoCon, you said that you measure a project's viability and potential for future profitability in part by its community. I'm wondering what kinds of factors you look at to evaluate that community. I know that today you said leadership, good stewards, are the leaders community-centric. I'm wondering what other insights that you can provide for anybody who might be watching this, thinking about starting a project or having a project. What can you do?
Yeah, so it's very different than building a business. One of the big differences, and I'll only touch on a couple of them, as we go from building businesses, building DAOs or blockchain crypto projects, whatever it might be. Generally, in almost all instances, it's built open source. And so when you're building open source projects, one big thing is that the technology is open source, which means it's copy-paste, which means you don't have proprietary technology. Normally a business has proprietary technology, so no one else can copy it. That code is an asset. When you put things into an open source environment, that technology doesn't differentiate you anymore, and you can take your time. So all it does is give you a first mover advantage. And that's useful, but that won't guarantee anything. And so what are the things that you need to differentiate yourself as a project in an open source world? I think it's really community development more than anything else. And it's not just the development of a community, it's the continual growth of a community and the sustaining of a community. The project isn't, we all become part of that project. And so I look at that because that's the thing that seems to differentiate the successful projects from the unsuccessful projects. And then what sustains a community over time? It's normally good leadership. I believe in no rulers, I believe in no bosses, but I do believe in leadership. So I know some people say leadership, no. I think leadership is the volunteer sort of thing. And also in a decentralized open source system, if a leader stops doing their job as a leader, it will be removed, right? In theory. And so I think good leadership is important. And understanding that if you are in a leadership role around one of these projects, that how you carry yourself, the integrity, operating with integrity, all of these things really matter because people like me are looking to you to determine whether or not this is a project I want to follow. I really evaluate leaders. And real leadership is stewardship in my mind. How do those, and stewardship is like, when you're a good steward or a good leader, when the food is served, you're the last person to eat.
Sure, I'm the mom.
Right? Exactly. But it's are you quickly trying to line your pockets all the time? Are you trying to take care of yourself? Are you trying to take care of the team first? Or are you trying to take care of your community first? Good leaders are people that are taking care of their community first and foremost. And anytime you're evaluating as a project leader, a participant in something, the question I would encourage everyone to always ask themselves is, what's best for the community? And if you're always evaluating everything you do based on what's best for the community, that's like your compass. That's like your true north. You're always doing what's best for the community first and taking care of the team second and yourself last. If you're going through that sort of process all the time, I think that those are the recipes for long-term success.
Yep, and I quoted you with that on Twitter just yesterday. they're hungry and keep working. You suggested that many of the 2017 and 2018 ICOs that launched and failed may have failed because of too much funding. So I was wondering if you think that is ever not the case, and under what circumstances can financial security provide the team with what they need to keep going instead of by relieving the stress?
Yeah, you have milestone-based financing with sort of venture capitalists, then we had ICOs that were providing too much resources to projects. And so what does that future look like? What is that better future? I love the idea of big visions, big ideas being funded passively with more capital than they will need so that they can see their mission through. The problem is, to give that much capital to a group of visionaries, we, the capital contributors, need to have some say in governance of that capital. Now, one of the things is we need transparency. How much money is there? Where is the money going? I expect financial transparency, or I don't think ICOs or IEOs or whatever should receive, or STOs, an overabundance of capital if it's not received with a commitment to absolute transparency. And I don't just mean a verbal commitment, but an architectural commitment to transparency. Also, with governance, so that if people are not performing, right, that we have the ability to change out the team. If the team is failing to do their job, they might have been the team that got it started. They might be the team that galvanized us, the community, to give them the resources. But the people that were fit for round one might not believe they're fit for round two. We need the flexibility, like VCs, to fire the founders. If the founders are failing to ship product, if the founders are failing to deliver, we, the contributors, need to have some type of governance, to be able to change things out. And so, in an environment with transparency and some form of governance, likely through a decentralized or autonomous community-type architecture, I think that we put all the money in the world we want into big ideas, knowing that if the team fails, the project doesn't fail.
Sure.
So we just need good governance. I think governance is the answer to this sort of stuff. And I think the early experiment around DAOs are getting to a point that we can probably, won't be there this year. And the question is, how long does it take for the community of token holders to recover from feeling like they were taken advantage of, right? Because most of these projects have not shipped their products. They've not been financially transparent. We've got questions about whether or not they're even still working on it. Was it an exit scam? And most of the time it wasn't. Most of the time it was big dreamers, big believers that just didn't have the necessary skills.
Right, or the people who could help them in place.
And so, and then they didn't understand how to manage the capital was lost, stolen, prices dropped. So I don't want to say that, these projects are all bad. A lot of it was good intention. It's just a lot of it was bad execution. So we, as providers of resources, need to do better due diligence, right? And we need to have better controls in place. That's what VCs do. Learn some of the things from VCs, and how do we get the best performance? How do we upgrade that system into one that protects us against the things that we've now learned can happen, and but at the same time empower big ideas to have the resources to fulfill the dream.
Okay, so it is these DAOs that are being worked on right now. They're working to enable the community of investors and believers to act as VCs in some ways.
Yeah, what venture capital is just really sophisticated capital that does its work. Right? It's a fiduciary that manages money for other people. When you manage money for other people, you have to clean your work. It's not yours to lose, right? It's someone else's. And so, being really thoughtful about how you deploy your capital, treating those resources as precious, I think is a good thing for all of us. And the more we are diligent in the work that we do, the better off we'll be. You won't lose your money as often. Don't, FOMO, fear of missing out. I'm more of a JOMO person, which is the joy of missing out.
Okay.
More joy, less fear. Will probably serve all of us. And then better just systems, better governance, I think will protect us against what happened. Right now we have IEOs which are working. Now we're giving projects smaller amounts of capital, giving away a smaller stake of the company. It looks a lot like venture capital. It's like resources. How did you do with it? Okay,
Right.
here's one.
Right. All right, that's cool. I like that idea. So they can still raise large amounts of money, know that the funds are there, but not have them immediately deployed.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Yeah.
you have to hit your marks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
perform.
Yeah.
And if you don't, someone else should be able to step in and take your place.
Yeah.
Because it's owned by the community. It's not you. You may have been the founder, you may have been one of the founders, you may have been on the founding team, whatever. But when you go through that process of being an ICO, you've surrendered control. And at that point, your position of authority, your position of leadership is one that has to be continually earned.
All right. I think that's great motivation for anybody leading a team, right? Right.
And then, yeah, you have to be a real leader. You're not the boss.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of people have suggested that at this conference, I've heard a lot of discussion, and I don't know if you've heard it too, but a lot of people have suggested that Tether was used to artificially inflate the price of Bitcoin to $20,000 in 2017 to 2018. So that's a lot of that is because, according to people, according to market cap, 10 times of Tether's total supply is traded daily. So does that seem, I guess the question is, does it seem unreasonable that 10 times of the total supply is traded daily, and can you address some of the immediate concerns for it?
Yeah, so as one of the founders and ideators of the business, what I saw was a need for a stable medium of exchange. My belief was that people wanted to move money from one exchange to the other, not necessarily always in Bitcoin. And then traders in Bitcoin wanted the ability to easily be in and out. And so we needed a stable coin, something pegged or backed by US dollars, right? Asset backed, ideally, and that's how Tether got started. I gave up, my group had majority ownership of the project in the beginning. I handed it over, so I've not formally been involved for quite a while. But I've never seen anything that suggested that anything has been manipulated. That's not to say that something hasn't. And I have probably better information than most. I'm not happy about how things were managed after I gave control over to someone else. But I've not seen anything that suggested that they've been manipulating markets. The data in terms of the trading volume relative to the market cap, I think, is more indicative of the lack of confidence in Tether. I think that there's $4 or $5 billion of Tether outstanding today. I think that number would probably be like 25 or 50 billion if people were highly confident in Tether. People don't want to hold Tether any longer than they have to, which is why you have a small amount of Tether turning over to such a high degree, is due to a lack of confidence. If people were really confident in Tether, and that Tether wasn't ever going to go anywhere, I think that you'd have 40 or 50 billion dollars issued on the platform, and then you'd be seeing something like 1 times. But I think that's really a measure of a lack of confidence in Tether, not a market manipulation thing.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to give you an opportunity to answer the question because I've heard it multiple times.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't. Well, it's people are always like.
People love to point fingers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tether's been one of the most important things ever built for our industry.
I agree.
Tether didn't manipulate, in my opinion, the price getting to $10,000 or $20,000, but there would be no $10,000 Bitcoin without Tether or without stablecoins.
Sure. Yeah.
It was in the building of the overall ecosystem. This was one of the most important foundational pieces necessary for cryptocurrency to get to where it is. It didn't need to be tethered, but we had to have a stable medium of exchange. And without that, Bitcoin would probably not even be worth $1,000 or $2,000 today, because we couldn't also have decentralized finance. It's a stepping stone. This was an essential, foundational piece of the ecosystem. So I'm grateful to Tether. Keep making more stable coins. All the ones that are out there. If you don't like Tether, use a different stable coin.
Yeah.
Everybody still seems all to use Tether. So the people that seem to complain about it are the ones that don't use it. Everybody else seems to be kind of okay with it. Now, there were some really horrible things. I think the way that Bitfinex lost their money, and that wasn't their fault. That was one of the problems of being in crypto, but then taking out a loan from Tether without really disclosing that up front. That, I think, was really bad. And that did happen. That is something that we should be very critical of, and Tether and Bitfinex have to do a much better job of disclosing everything. Now, to put myself in their shoes, they're also being investigated and all sorts of things. So if you do anything anything material in crypto, you'll understand that it's really complicated. If you're not that in the industry or you're just a trader, you don't necessarily understand that just getting a bank account for any of these projects is really hard. And so until you've actually gotten to the point of running a project, it's easy to say things should be a certain way and it should be that way. But the unfortunate reality is things are not so simple, nor are things so easy.
Right, yeah, of course.
Like audits. You can't. Tether, I'm not involved these days, but during the time that I was looking at it, there was no auditor in the world that would audit it. Because auditors like Arthur Andersen went out of business. They shut down a major top 5 accounting firm because they did the audit on Enron. Why would an auditor for $1 million in fees, or even $5 million in fees, which would be a crazy amount of money for Tether to spend, right? Want to take on the legal liability of auditing such a controversial industry and such a controversial business? How many of the major exchanges have been audited? And try to go get an audit as a major business in this space. The firms are like, no, it's not worth $1 million to us to be exposed.
Sure.
So it's also, again, one of those things you might want to do it, but good luck getting it done. The major auditors won't audit major companies in this space because they view them, you'd have to pay, the numbers I got previously is auditors will consider it if you pay them $50 to $100 million to basically perform a basic audit.
Yeah.
So that's also kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, and when there's $50 to $100 million laying around, you want to spend that on development, on marketing, on,
But that is starting to change because the industry is maturing. Mm-hmm. Auditors have now learned more. They're getting more comfortable. So, things are improving. But that's actually how it was for years. As someone that knows.
Have you ever looked into, or have you any ideas for how we can create an impartiality in crypto media and crypto content creation? I recently proposed a plan and was almost universally laughed at.
What was the plan?
I said that we should go to the top 5 or 10 crypto companies, leadership of boards, foundations, and say that everybody needed to contribute to a pool equally relative to their market share, which would incentivize the creators or the journalists who work for the entity to create equal content covering them instead of just, basically having a war with one another.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
And for those that are concerned about fake news and things of that nature, you should be skeptical of everything you read by journalists, not just in the broader world, but in this space especially.
Of course.
There's more of an economic incentive to hate things, right? To talk trash about things. And I don't trust much of the crypto media. Journalists, in this space should disclose always whether they have holdings or not. And it's improving. It's not it's improving, but I think it's a great idea. Okay. Impartial, unbiased news is a good thing. The broader media likes to sensationalize, and if you read the broader press, what the first thing you're going to think about when you think of crypto is you're going to think of greedy, Lambo buying, bro, scammers, drug dealers, Ponzi schemers. That is the perception of the broader media. And if we want to change the perception of the broader media, it should probably start with us getting our own house in order.
Absolutely.
And having our own best practices and be an inspiration of how to do things well. So I'd love to see us do a better job of telling our own story and to do it with integrity and transparency in line with the philosophical beliefs that many of us share in this ecosystem.
Props on board. Everybody else listening? All right. Do you want to apply a name?
My Burning Man name for the last 5 or so years, and what it is today, it's Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
I like it.
It's Yes and.
Yes and. All right. The improv.
That's my last name.
Okay.
Well, gotta be careful saying Yes and.
That's true. Definitely. Everywhere. And at Burning Man. Yeah.
But I believe in the word yes. I think yes is a very powerful word. Everything great in my life, everything good in my life has come from saying yes.
All right. Yeah.
Not everything I said yes to was good, or something I wish to repeat. But no doesn't get you anywhere. So ultimately, saying yes is a very important thing, and getting outside of your comfort zone is, when someone tells you something like, do you want to go to see this meeting or whatever, and you're like, no. Try to catch yourself anytime you're going to say no. Think about it for an extra moment, and have a little courage to say yes a little bit more.
Yes. All right. Okay. I'm working on lobby dates with Adrian and Ashley on our marketing for that project, and there have been a lot of community concerns about the idea of putting consent on the blockchain because consent can be revoked at any time. Really, just gathering thoughts from a variety of people who work in the space, and I was wondering if you had any questions or concerns that we can address when we do our full thing about consent.
Well, consent is, hopefully we live in a world of consent. I mean, right now, our digital DNA, people are coming into our bedrooms and listening to our conversations. They're listening to the conversations of our kids, and they are doing this in many instances without our consent, without our even awareness, without our knowledge. They're collecting our most private stuff without our consent. I believe in a world of consent. I believe that we should consent to everything. And so anything that creates a more consensual world is a good thing. Yes, consent, more consent, consent. The question is, at what point is consent revoked?
Well, so this is
I'm not sure under, I don't have a great answer to that. But yes, clearly, just because I said yes today doesn't mean I said yes forever.
Sure. So this is specifically regarding, people who, so lobby dates can be used by anybody for short-term or long-term relationships, and that Adrian's idea for putting consent on the blockchain is for people who want to ensure that they're not going to, 6 months down the line, have some accusations that something could happen. But the community seems to be concerned that this is going to be used against women specifically in the long term by putting their consent on consenting to, sexual acts on the blockchain would allow men to then take advantage of that.
So I don't have much to add there, but I'll add a little bit of a story in terms of the relationship that Crystal and I established. We our marriage, right? We're not legally married, but our commitment to each other was for a year and a day. We said that we're going to commit to the following. We had our agreement, and our agreement lasted a year and a day, and then it automatically expired. The first time, we're committing a year and a day together, and then we renewed it a second time, and a third time. And so in our particular instance, we made agreements that lasted a year and a day. I generally believe that we can have agreements, and we can have duration-based agreements as long as they're, abided by both parties. Right? I can say I agree to doing working with you for a month. I can agree to working with you for 3 months. So in general, I make lots of commitments that have some sort of time base. I'm not sure how relevant this is to these issues, but I'm just sharing some of my own life experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
And I think forever is an unrealistic expectation.
Sure, yeah.
Be careful consenting to things for your life.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so is there anything else that you really want to talk about, share, that I haven't asked you about right here that you know?
Well, I think we talked about Puerto Rico. I mean, I'd say there's a couple of upcoming events. Mm-hmm. There's PR Icon on February 25th, and there's Point Agenda Caribbean, February 26th, 27th. I'll be doing some interesting stuff around that too if you come down. Then I think there's also going to be D10E on April 20th and 21st if that doesn't work for you. But the main thing is, we're down in Puerto Rico, always happy to spend time with everyone, answer everyone's questions. Anyone that witnesses, I actually talk to everybody. Most people I know that give speeches that, groups want to listen to, they kind of run away really fast. You actually don't see them after. Actually, I was offered when I got off the stage if I wanted to go back out of the kitchen so I didn't have to talk to anyone. Like, no, I talk to everybody.
Yeah.
If you honor me with your time, if you've taken the time to listen to the words that I have to say, that's a gift. I consider that a gift. I'm grateful for you taking the time to hear what I have to say, and the least I can do is, reciprocate by taking a picture, answering a question, listening a bit to a pitch. Though I do encourage you never to pitch me as the first thing you do. If that's the first thing you do, the odds of me supporting what you do are really low, almost zero, because I don't invest in projects. I invest in people, and if you want my support, first convince me that you're someone I should want to help. Then tell me what you're doing and why. But it's over. It's running up to someone and the first thing is like, I want to speak with you. If that's what was your opening liner, will you give me money?
Yeah.
Normally that just doesn't work. It's bad tactics.
Seems
Bad
like
form.
just bad human decency.
Yes.
Yeah.
So have a conversation, connect, tell me what your superpower is, tell me what your mission is, tell me what you're excited about, tell me what you want to do with your life. These sorts of things are how you get a conversation started that has more meaning. And through that meaningful conversation, we can eventually get to, okay, what is your project?
Yep.
Because I'm going to eventually ask you, it's best if you wait for me to ask, how can I help? If I'm inspired by you and what you're thinking about, don't even bother talking about the project, talk about the idea, talk about why it matters. Then I'll eventually be like, so exactly how are you trying to do this? Well, I got this project. Oh, what's the project? How far along are you? All of a sudden, I'm asking you questions because I'm genuinely curious about the what, the how, the why. Versus, someone going, give me money, give me money, give me money. You're going to tell by my body language very quickly. It's like, okay.
Yeah. That's how to pitch Brock Pierce and really just about anyone else I've ever talked to.
Yeah, I think these rules are not just me. It's just good form. And don't run up when someone's in a conversation and interrupt them to pitch your idea. I see that all the time. It's like, you're having a conversation with me and I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
And someone comes up and is like, hey, I want to make a pitch. It's like, major first impression by interrupting somebody else. I mean, I love tenacity. And that's an important aspect of entrepreneurship. But, grace and, timing also matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you're the leader of your project and you can't show those qualities, what makes